जी बिलावल भट्टो साहब प्लीज. No crosstalk please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Aapka shukriya.
No crosstalk please. No crosstalk please. Mr. Sharyar, please sit down. Order in the house please. Order in the house please. Order
Mr.
in the house
Speaker.
please. Order in the house please. Ji
I'd
Bilawal
like to
sahab please.
start by thanking the President of Pakistan for accepting the suggestion to summon this joint session of Parliament to discuss the situation, the desperate situation arising out of the recent actions taken by India and Indian-held Kashmir. We may have rendered this House dysfunctional, Mr. Speaker. As we all saw this morning, we were supposed to meet at 11:30. We didn't start till 4:30. वादा करने के बाद सदर ज़रदारी साहब का प्रोडक्शन ऑर्डर तो नहीं निकला था. आपका बड़ा मेहरबानी, आपने आखिरकार निकाला और सदर ज़रदारी साहब इस जॉइंट सेशन में अपना किरदार अदा करेगा. But so far we have been unable to pass any legislation. Perhaps the greatest achievement of this Parliament is that we've banned the term select for our selected Prime Minister. Our अफसोस के साथ कहना पड़ता है, मगर जनाब स्पीकर, आपने आज तक अपना ही, you haven't been able to complete your own house. Unfortunately, आज भी इतना अहम मौके पे सारे मेंबरान नेशनल असेंबली मौजूद नहीं हैं. उसमें साबिक वज़ीर आज़म शायद खाकान अब्बासी साहब, मुस्लिम लीग नवाज का पंजाब प्रेसिडेंट राना सनाउल्लाह साहब और हमारा दो एमएनए साउथ वज़ीरिस्तान और नॉर्थ वज़ीरिस्तान से आज भी मौजूद नहीं है. मैं फिर से आपके सामने अपील करता हूं जनाब स्पीकर कि आप अपना हाउस मुकम्मल करें. बहुत अफसोस है कि हमने ना बजट के वक्त मुकम्मल किया था और ना इस अहम मौके पे जब हमें सब कश्मीर पर बात करना था जॉइंट सेशन में, हम तब भी अपना हाउस मुकम्मल नहीं कर सके. Every question asked of the government by the opposition is never responded to with logic, reason, or even an explanation. All we hear are personal attacks, personal and necessary to speak in one voice for the people of Kashmir. What has happened in the recent days, Mr. Speaker? We've seen cluster bombs
Bilawal
deployed.
sahab, just 1 minute. मैं चीफ मिनिस्टर सिंध तशरीफ फरमा है, मैं पूरे हाउस की तरफ से उसको वेलकम करता हूँ, चीफ को वेलकम करता हूँ.
जनाब स्पीकर, पिछले दिनों हम सब ने देखा कि किस तरीके से इंटरनेशनल, in violation of international law, cluster bombs were used on innocent civilians. We saw how tourists and pilgrims were expelled from Kashmir. We saw the closure of all educational institutions, the massive deployment of troops throughout Kashmir. All communications, all internet, all mobile phone services have been shut. The arrests of any and all prominent political leaders within Kashmir, including former chief ministers and those who've served as allies of the BJP government. And finally, a brutal historical attack. An attack not only on Kashmir, but an attack on the United Nations, an attack on international law, on international norms, on international precedents, an attack on democracy, an attack on rule of law, an attack on the inalienable right to self-determination, an attack obviously on the Muslims of Kashmir, but also an attack on India, an attack on the idea of India, an attack on the idea of India as a secular, democratic India where all citizens, also an attack on the India of Vajpayee. The unilateral usurpations of rights forever guaranteed to Kashmiris. The unilateral, undemocratic, illegal revocation of Article 35A and 370 demolishes the historical identity of Jammu and Kashmir. It occupied Kashmir. It opens the door. It opens the door for Kashmiris to be turned into a minority in their own homes. If Kashmir was a flashpoint before, if Kashmir was a human rights disaster before, if peace in the region was held hostage to Kashmir before, with one stroke of the pen, Mr. Speaker, regions in flames. It has the potential to engulf the entire region in flames, and we have also opened the door to a potential nuclear catastrophe. We will not accept it. The people of Kashmir will not accept it. The people of India should not accept it, and the world should not accept it, Mr. Speaker. Modi is playing with fire. Janaab Speaker, I feel passionately about the people of Kashmir, not just as a Pakistani, not only because Shaheed Zulfikar Ali Bhutto is renowned for his contribution to the Kashmir cause. Indeed, today, if we celebrate February 5th as Kashmir Day, it's because of Shaheed Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. It's not only because Shaheed Mohtarama Benazir Bhutto, but Mr. Speaker, we feel passionately about Kashmir because they are our brothers and sisters, they are our kith and kin. We share a history, we share geography, we share a culture, we share a religion, we share the same blood, we have the same soul. They have the right to live in peace, Mr. Speaker, just as we do. They have a right to choose their own destiny, Mr. Speaker, just as we do. And they have a right to freedom, Mr. Speaker, just as we do. This unfulfilled promise, this unfulfilled dream is not only a dream of every peace-loving Kashmiri, but it is also a dream of every Pakistani. We will not stay silent. We will not stay silent while our Kashmiri brothers and sisters cry out for help, Mr. Speaker. We demand leadership from this government. The Prime Minister was asking what is it that he should do. But so far, Mr. Speaker, we have not even seen a policy statement. All we've had is a speech and a tweet, and this ahistorical speech without any context rise to the occasion. This is what every Pakistani expects from him. It is absolutely disgraceful that the Foreign Minister of Pakistan and our representative of the United Nations are out of station. The Prime Minister of Pakistan must call them back and they must get to work. The Prime Minister of India, Prime Minister Modi, is an extremist Prime Minister with blood on his hands, Mr. Speaker. Unfortunately, Pakistan has now twice welcomed his election. This has been a grave mistake. An extremist Hindutva takeover of India, with the butcher of Gujarat now occupying the highest office in the land. This was an important strategic opportunity. An opportunity fortunately chose to give Mr. Modi legitimacy. Can you imagine, Mr. Speaker? Can you imagine if a religious party, an extremist religious party, with the history and the record similar to the butcher of Gujarat or the RSS was to come to power in Pakistan? Do you think India would be welcoming his election? Do you think that the Indian Prime Minister would be caught dead at his oath-taking ceremony? Do you think that they would have welcomed the extremist Prime Minister's re-election and hoped that he would have solved the dispute in Kashmir? No, Mr. Speaker. Pakistan should have seen the warning signs. We should have understood Modi's extremist Hindutva ideology. We should have understood Modi's and RSS's manifesto and acted accordingly to foil his nefarious designs. Unfortunately, we chose appeasement, and the results are before us. We have missed many an opportunity, Mr. Speaker. We've missed many an opportunity, but we must now act wisely. We must now act wisely when so much is at stake. Pakistan's historical objections to Article 370 aside, after the revocation of Article 370 and 35A, India has officially, there's no more pretenses, India has officially become an occupying force in Indian-held Kashmir. Because the basis of Maqbooza Kashmir's ascension to India was Article 370. Prime Minister Modi came into his second term with a hate mandate. And we can expect him to further on this hate mandate and further appease the extremists in India. As the Prime Minister also admitted today, the revocation of these articles were part of their manifesto. It is surprising that despite 5 years of Modi's state terrorism in Indian-held Kashmir, his atrocities against the people of Kashmir, our own Prime Minister was hoping and praying for his success. India's steps to revoke Article 370 has eradicated India's credibility and any leftover legitimacy as a democratic state. If all of what India is doing is legal, then why have they not only arrested the Hurriyat leadership, but they've also arrested those Kashmiri leaders who used to run in their elections? Former chief ministers who ruled over Kashmir at the behest of Delhi. It is because they know what they're doing is illegal. They know what they are doing. Each and every Kashmiri will oppose tooth and nail. Nothing better defines the ramifications of India's actions, Mr. Speaker, than former Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti's statements. In the previous government of the BJP, she served as Chief Minister of Kashmir. And she herself has said that it is the darkest day for Indian democracy, and that people like her who did not believe in the two-nation theory have been proved wrong. India can become an occupying force, Mr. Speaker, but it can never change the status of Kashmir as a disputed territory. Pakistan must take drastic diplomatic measures. The Western world is in disarray, and we cannot realistically expect the type of reaction that this event and events like this would typically merit. But we still must engage. Pakistan must engage with the United Nations, as the status of Kashmir as a disputed territory is forever preserved within their resolutions. As a member of the OIC, Pakistan must try and get a special session of the OIC, at least at the foreign minister level, so we can send a strong message to the world that whatever our differences, the Muslim world is united when it comes to the issue of Kashmir. The UN High Commission for Human Rights report has said, Mr. Speaker, that it is a conflict that has robbed millions of their basic human rights and continues to inflict untold suffering. The report urged the United Nations Security Council to, quote, consider establishing a commission of inquiry to conduct a comprehensive and independent investigation into human rights violations in Kashmir. It is unfortunate when the United Nations was saying this, the Prime Minister of Pakistan was saying he wishes that Prime Minister Modi wins the election ताकि हम कश्मीर का मसला हल कर सकते हैं. I say it again, Mr. Speaker, that a tweet is not enough, that speech was certainly not good enough. There was no formal statement from Pakistan. Who else is supposed to speak for the people of Kashmir? The foreign minister is not even in the country. He's not present here for the joint session. I appeal to the Prime Minister कि शरीन मिजारी साहिबा को आप foreign minister बनाएं, शायद हम इस issue को सही तरीका से handle कर सकें. We must demand, and I'm sure Shireen Mizari Sahiba, अगर foreign minister होती तो demand करती कि United Nations Commission report जो है human rights पे. We must demand as Pakistan that inquiry to play its role. The international community must take stock of Indian atrocities. It has refused all offers of dialogue. India is slowly shutting all avenues for bilateral dialogue by going against the spirit of the Simla Agreement, which ensures that no side will take unilateral actions to change the status quo. The Modi government is neither interested in bilateral dialogue. It's neither interested in bilateral dialogue, nor is it interested in mediation, and nor does it pay heed to the United Nations. We expect the Prime Minister of Pakistan to use the full force of his office and all available international forums to advocate for the people of Kashmir as if they were his own children. Calls for help from occupied Kashmir started from last week, Mr. Speaker. Our party and others had called attention to this issue, but the government was either too busy celebrating the DC photo op or bashing political opponents to even take notice. We do not want to hint at the question of collusion, but I must inform you, Mr. Speaker. That these are the questions being asked. Why the criminal silence? आप मुझे बताएं, जनाब स्पीकर, अगर हम उस तरफ बैठे होते और वज़ीर आज़म खान साहब इस ऑपोजिशन में होता और हम 3-4 दिन के लिए सिर्फ एक ट्वीट मारते, खान साहब हमारे साथ क्या करते? हम एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि उसी जज्बे के साथ वो आप कश्मीरियों की जद्दोजहद के लिए मेहनत करेगा. We hope that the government of Pakistan takes the initiative, shows leadership, and rises to the occasion. The desperate people of Kashmir are looking towards you. The country demands action. We hope that the Prime Minister does not let us down. As I've said before, Mr. Speaker, that tweet's not good enough, that speech's not good enough. Because history will ask us. History will ask us where we were when the children of Kashmir were being blinded by pellet guns. History will ask us where we were when the daughters of Kashmir were being raped as a political weapon. History will ask us where we were when cluster bombs were falling on Kashmir. Our answers will be disappointing, Mr. Speaker, because we have not thus far risen to the occasion. However, when history asks us where we were when the integrity, dignity, and legal status of Kashmir was assaulted, where we were when the people of Kashmir needed us most, I hope that history will recall that we fought with honor. I'm sure that the Prime Minister of Pakistan does not want to be remembered as the Prime Minister of Pakistan who gave up on Kashmir. In the end, Mr. Speaker, I would like to remind everyone that still remains present here that today as a nation, we stand at a crossroads of history, at a defining moment. From now on, we will be judged not as individuals, but as nations. It is in times like these that nations are either made. It is at times like these that nations are either made or forgotten as footnotes in history. We have only two options before us. Either we accept Modi, the butcher of Kashmir's homogeny, desert our Kashmiri brethren and live a life of humiliation, or we rise to the occasion, take a proud, principled nation and reject Modi's aggressive, treacherous, and extremist Hindutva ideology. I say we choose the latter, Mr. Speaker, the honorable option. We have to speak with one voice, not just as Punjabis, Sindhi, Baloch, Pashtun, Kashmiri, but as Pakistanis. We must shun all our differences and convey to the world that we stand united with our Kashmiri brethren. Janab Speaker, we've had prime ministers who have said that we will fight for 10,000 years for the Kashmir cause. We have had prime ministers who have said कि जहां कश्मीरियों का पसीना गिरेगा हमारा खून गिरेगा और आज हमारा प्राइम मिनिस्टर का खामोशी मायूसकुन है हमारा वजीर आज़म के ट्वीट्स काफ़ी नहीं हैं उम्मीद है कि वजीर आज़म खान साहब लीडरशिप दिखाएंगे और हम सब उस लीडरशिप को सपोर्ट कर सकेंगे आपका शुक्रिया